All right, let's dive into the world of surviving a zombie apocalypse. It's a fascinating and terrifying concept, right? The idea of the world as we know it being overrun by the undead and having to fight for survival every single day.
Yeah, it's both thrilling and scary. I mean, we've all seen those zombie movies and TV shows, but actually thinking about what you would do in that situation is a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. And that's why preparation is key. You can't just wing it when it comes to surviving a zombie apocalypse. You need to have a plan, the right skills, and a solid strategy. It's about being ready for anything.
So, what kind of preparation are we talking about here? Like stocking up on supplies and weapons?
Yes, that's part of it, but it's also about learning essential survival skills. Things like scavenging for food and water, building and fortifying shelters, and knowing how to defend yourself. It's a comprehensive approach.
Makes sense. But why do you think zombie fiction is so popular? Is it just the thrill of the scare?
Partly yes, but I think it's also about the human element. Zombie stories often explore how people react under extreme pressure, how they adapt, and what they're willing to do to survive. It's a reflection of our fears and our resilience.
Right? Like how people come together or fall apart in the face of danger. It's like a social experiment with high stakes.
Exactly. And that's why survival guides and zombie fiction go hand in hand. They both offer insights into how to navigate a world turned upside down. Whether it's through entertainment or practical advice, they prepare us for the unimaginable.
So, what are some of the practical survival tactics we should be thinking about?
Well, let's start with the basics. One of the first things you need to do is secure a safe location. This means finding a place that can be easily defended and has access to essential resources like food and water.
Okay, but what if you're constantly on the move? Like you can't stay in one place for too long because of the zombies?
Great point. Mobility is crucial too. You need to be able to move quickly and efficiently. This means having a go bag ready with all the essentials, knowing how to navigate through different terrains, and being able to set up temporary shelters.
Got it. So it's a balance between having a secure base and being able to move when necessary. What about skills? What are some must-have skills for surviving a zombie apocalypse?
There are several key skills that can make a huge difference. Foraging for food, purifying water, basic first aid, and self-defense are all critical. You also need to be able to think on your feet and make quick decisions.
Sounds like a lot to learn. But I guess it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. Do you have any interesting anecdotes or analogies to help illustrate these points?
Absolutely. Imagine you're in a city that's been overrun by zombies. You find a small grocery store that looks untouched. Instead of just rushing in, you take a moment to scout the area. You notice there are 2 entry points, which is great for a quick escape if needed. You also see that the windows are intact, so you can close them behind you to prevent zombies from sneaking in.
Wow, that's a great example. It really shows the importance of being cautious and thinking ahead.
Exactly. And once you're inside, you don't just start grabbing everything in sight. You prioritize non-perishable food items and medical supplies. You also make sure to check for any hidden dangers, like zombies lurking in the back rooms.
Right, because the last thing you want is to be caught off guard while you're scavenging.
Precisely. It's all about being methodical and staying alert. And these are just a few examples of the kind of preparation and skills that can help you survive in a zombie apocalypse.
This is really fascinating stuff. I can't wait to learn more about the specific tactics and strategies. It's like we're getting a crash course in zombie survival.
That's the idea. There's so much more to cover, from combat techniques to building a resilient community. But for now, let's focus on the essentials and build a solid foundation for surviving the zombie apocalypse. All right, let's get into the essential survival skills and strategies you'll need to endure a zombie apocalypse. First up, let's talk about scavenging. This is a critical skill because you'll never have enough supplies to last indefinitely. You'll need to go out and find food, water, weapons, and other essentials.
Scavenging sounds risky, though. What are some tips to make it safer and more effective?
Great question. The key is to be methodical and cautious. Always scout the area before entering a building. Look for multiple entry and exit points and try to avoid making noise. If you have to break a window to get in, be prepared for the noise to attract zombies. And once you're inside, move quietly and check each room carefully.
So it's like being a ninja in a zombie-infested world. Got it. What about combat? How do you handle fighting zombies?
Combat is all about being strategic. You don't want to engage large groups of zombies if you can avoid it. Use hit-and-run tactics and always have an escape route. When fighting, aim for the head, as that's the most effective way to take down a zombie. And remember, melee weapons like baseball bats and axes are quieter than firearms, which can attract more zombies.
Makes sense. But what if you do need to use a gun? Any tips for that?
If you have to use a firearm, make sure you have plenty of ammo and a clear escape route. Take your time to aim and make each shot count, and try to fight away from your safe house to avoid drawing zombies to your base. Shotguns are effective but very loud, so use them sparingly.
Got it. Now let's talk about food and water. How do you ensure you have enough to survive?
Sourcing food and water is crucial. Foraging is a great way to find edible plants, berries, and other resources. You can also set up traps to catch small animals. Farming is another option, but it requires time and a secure area. As for water, you'll need to find a reliable source like a well or collect rainwater. Just remember to purify any water you collect to avoid getting sick.
Purifying water. How do you do that?
You can purify water by boiling it over a campfire or using water purification tablets if you have them. Another method is to use a portable water filter. The key is to make sure the water is free of contaminants before drinking it.
Okay, that makes sense. What about shelter? How do you find or build a safe place to stay?
Shelter construction and fortification are essential for long-term survival. Look for buildings that are easy to defend, like those with few windows and multiple exits. Once you find a suitable location, fortify it by boarding up windows and reinforcing doors. You can also set up traps and alarms to alert you to any approaching zombies.
And what if you need to move to a new location? How do you navigate through dangerous environments?
Navigating through dangerous environments requires stealth and awareness. Move quietly and avoid drawing attention to yourself. Use the terrain to your advantage, like sneaking through wooded areas or using buildings for cover. Always have a plan and be ready to change it if things go wrong.
This is all really useful information, but what about first aid? How do you handle injuries in a zombie apocalypse?
First aid knowledge is vital. Common injuries include cuts, scrapes, and bites. For cuts and scrapes, clean the wound with disinfectant and apply a bandage. For deeper wounds, you may need to use a suture needle. If you're bitten by a zombie, disinfect the wound and bandage it, but be aware that bites are often fatal. Having a well-stocked first aid kit can make a huge difference.
Yikes, bites sound terrifying. What about using vehicles? Are they useful for long-distance travel?
Vehicles can be incredibly useful for long-distance travel and hauling supplies. However, they also come with risks. Make sure your vehicle is in good condition and has enough fuel. Be prepared for the possibility of encountering roadblocks or abandoned cars, and always have a backup plan in case you need to abandon the vehicle and continue on foot.
This is all so practical and eye-opening. I feel like I'm getting a real crash course in surviving the apocalypse.
That's the goal. By understanding and practicing these essential survival skills and strategies, you'll be much better prepared to face the challenges of a zombie apocalypse. Remember, it's all about being adaptable, resourceful, and staying calm under pressure.
Absolutely. Thanks for all the great tips and insights. I can't wait to learn more about how to survive and thrive in a world overrun by zombies.